Sarah had always wanted a quiet life after the chaos of college. When she found a quaint old house in Glenview, a sleepy town surrounded by woods and lakes, she thought she had found the perfect place. The realtor had offered her a good deal, too good, in hindsight, and though the house was old, it had charm. It was the kind of place where people would say, if these walls could talk, but Sarah would soon wish they could not. Her first week in the house was uneventful. She spent most of her time unpacking, exploring the nearby trails, and getting used to her new surroundings. The house had a comforting, creaky character that made it feel like it had been lived in 4 generations, with its groaning floorboards and musty sand. But on the eighth night, as she lay in bed reading, she had it, the sound of something moving upstairs. At first, she thought it might be the wind or the house settling, but the sound persisted. It was a soft, rhythmic thudding, like footsteps. Sarah's heart raced as she sat up, straining to hear through the walls. The sound continued, a slow, deliberate pacing directly above her bedroom. She grabbed her phone and flashlight, creeping up the stairs to the second floor. As she reached the landing, the sound stopped abruptly. Sarah stood frozen, the only noise now her own shallow breathing. She scanned the hallway. Nothing seemed out of place, but something was gnawing at the back of her mind. Was there always a door at the end of the hallway? She didn't remember seeing it before. The door was plain, no lock, no markings, just a brass knob gleaming in the dim light. Every instinct told her to leave it alone, but she could not. Something was drawing her to it, like a pull she could not resist. Her hand trembled as she reached for the knob, turning it slowly. The door opened with a groan, revealing a small, dusty room. It was empty, just a bare wooden floor and a single window that looked out into the dense woods behind the house. The air inside the room felt wrong, sicker somehow, stellar, like it had not been disturbed in years. Yet something felt alive in there. Sarah quickly shut the door and hurried back downstairs, her heart pounding in her chest. But that night, she could not sleep. The sound of footsteps upstairs had returned, louder this time, pacing back and forth, as if something or someone was trapped. The next morning, she called the realtor. "I think there's a problem with the house," she said, trying to sound calm. "There's a room upstairs that I didn't notice before. I swear it wasn't there when I moved in." The realtor's response was unsettling. "That's impossible. There are only 2 bedrooms in the house. There is no third room." Sarah felt a cold chill down her spine. She knew what she had seen. She tried to shake off the fear, convincing herself it was just stress or fatigue. But deep down, she knew something was very wrong. Over the next few days, the strange occurrences escalated. Lights flickered without reason. Doors creaked open and shut when no one was around. And every night, the footsteps in the upstairs room grew louder, more frantic. It was as if something was pacing, restless, waiting. One evening, Sarah invited her neighbor, Tom, over for dinner. Tom was a middle-aged man who had lived in the town all his life. Over the course of the meal, Sarah casually mentioned the strange room. Tom's face grew pale. "Are you sure about that room?" he asked, his voice low. "This house has a history, Sarah. I don't want to scare you, but something happened here a long time ago. People don't like to talk about it." "What do you mean?" Sarah leaned forward, a sense of dread creeping in. "There was a family that lived here about 50 years ago," Tom continued. "The Thatchers. They had a little girl, Emily. One day, she just disappeared. Her parents looked everywhere for her. Police, search parties, the whole town combed the woods, but they never found a trace. Rumors started to spread that Emily had not left the house, that she had vanished inside of it. Some people said there was a secret room, a place where no one ever come back from. But it was just talk, a ghost story to scare kids." Sarah's heart sank. Could this be the room? Was Emily still in there? That night, unable to shake Tom's story, Sarah stood once again before the door. She had to know. This time, as she opened it, something was different. The air inside the room was colder, the shadows deeper, and then, from the far corner of the room, she heard a sound. Soft at first, almost like a child's giggle. Her breath caught in her throat. She shone her flashlight into the corner. There, barely visible, was the faint outline of a small figure. It was a little girl. Her clothes were tattered, her skin pale as moonlight, her eyes hollow. "Emily?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. The figure tilted its head, smiling faintly, but there was something wrong about that smile. Something too white, too sharp. "Come play with me," the girl whispered. Her voice a chilling echo that filled the room. Sarah stepped back, her pulse racing. She turned to leave, but the door slammed shut, trapping her aside. She pounded on the door, screaming for help, but the walls seemed to swallow her voice. The floor beneath her feet began to creak, shifting as if alive. The girl's giggle grew louder, more distorted, until it was no longer human. Shadows swirled around the room, twisting into grotesque shapes. Sarah backed into the corner, her heart pounding in her ears. Suddenly, the floorboards splintered beneath her. Pale, cold hands shot up from the floor, grabbing her ankles and pulling her down. She screamed, kicking, trying to free herself, but the hands were relentless. As she was dragged down into the floor, they saw the little girl's face inches from hers, her eyes dark and hollow, her smile unnaturally white. "You should not have come here," the girl whispered. Just as Sarah was about to put under completely, the door burst open. Tom stood there, breathless and terrified. He rushed over and grabbed Sarah, pulling her free from the clutches of the hands. Together, they stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind them. The house was silent. Sarah moved out the next day. She could not bear to stay another night in that cursed place. But even as she left, she couldn't shake the feeling that the house wasn't done with her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the little girl's face, heard her chilling voice echoing in her mind.